So probably we'll need to train our employees in what the other entity offers now that we have merged into one. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Any other point from someone else? Triza?
Excuse, I was a bit late, please. Which question are we answering?
The first question on the screen, section B of question 2A. Triza Uma.
Good morning. So I see someone has typed my answer. So for me, it was about technological changes. When the company brings in new equipment, new softwares, then we need to retrain employees to adapt to those skills. And my other point is on company growth. So when a company grows, they may need to retrain employees. I don't know if that's part of the point that Beatrice has mentioned, but when a company grows, when we add new products, when we open a new branch, when we add new things, then we need to retrain. But also it's good to retrain employees just for continuous improvement. It doesn't have to be not necessarily that something has happened, but just for continuous growth and continuous improvement and innovation within the organization. So my points are 3: continuous growth, technology, and which one was the other one? Technology, continuous growth, and I've forgotten the other one.
Okay, thank you,
I hope you
Triza.
noted.
Yeah, could you please note for us the answers? Are you able to note them down for us?
Yes, I'm writing. I'll send them as notes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other point? Somebody with additional to what we are now discussing?
Patricia, I can add globalization.
Sure. Go ahead.
With globalizations, I can say as organizations expand into international markets, we find that employees may need to understand new cultural, legal, and business environments, hence the need for retraining. There's also market or industry shifts where companies adapting to new markets, demands, or industry trends may require employees to develop new competencies.
Thank you. I agree. Also, through your point, I've remembered the aspect of maybe change of system, or maybe if an organization is decommissioning a certain system, they're changing over to a new system. Maybe if they were using manual or maybe a new technology has come through, I think it's still tied in technology, then there will be need to retrain people on a new system, because now they're changing over to a new system. Dorcas, you have something to add on that? Dorcas Kamathi. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name well.
I have not something to say at now.
Okay. Mwalimu, I think we've done well on that. I don't know if you have any comment before we move to the next question, or if anyone else.
Can I add, when an employee is given a new role or a new responsibilities, then there is need for retraining. If I am moved from administration now to personal assistant to the CEO, they are related, but there'll be need for me to be retrained now on PA roles.
Okay, Teresa, based on maybe what I will say about that, the comment I think is the question is key on the organizational at the organizational level. Yes, I believe that one should try. I don't know if Beatrice wanted to add on something. Beatrice, you can go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to give another point, but okay. I agree with you. I agree with you. For about Teresa. For Teresa, it's more about the employee, not the organization. Another point that I wanted to.
But it's the organization that has or I'm understanding it wrong. Like you've been promoted from administration to PA. Is it not still part of the organization strategy thing to promote you as an internal employee?
When I look at examine the organizational circumstances, I thought we were focusing on the organ. Okay, I don't know. Probably because the employee is just one, and here we're talking about the organizational circumstances.
Yeah.
But we don't know. But let me just add my point. I
Okay,
wanted
maybe
to.
before you add your point, what I can maybe think of how to phrase Teresa's point is, I don't know if placement or redeployment. In that sense, I think it is at the organizational level. I don't know if Teresa, you can link it up in that way.
Okay, that makes sense for sure.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Bridget, go ahead.
I do agree because it has necessitated from the organizational level. I was saying we could probably add I talked about merger. Oh yeah, there's acquisition. Probably now we have gotten a new market. Like maybe probably we've gone to another country. So we probably need to train the employees probably in probably the new market, the whatever is different in the new market, so that they can be able to operationalize in the new market circumstances. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Beatrice. Anyone else before we move to the next question? And I don't know, because I'm handling this pretty not very much like a teacher though. Please, if you can read for me some of those comments, then we'll be okay. For those who are not able to speak up or unmute.
I have a question.
Yes, Edward.
Can we talk about feedback? Perhaps when customers give a feedback, either positive or negative, in regards to a certain product that the company is dealing with, when they say that maybe the company, the people handling it, doesn't know more about the product, can it lead to retraining?
Personally, I believe it can. I don't know if someone is of a
Yes,
contrary
but you see
opinion.
now, these are organizational circumstances. What has happened, what has changed within the organization, necessitating employee retraining. So feedback, of course, is one of the primary reasons why we retrain. But the question would be customer feedback. Is it explaining customer feedback in the context of organizational circumstances may be a bit tricky. Patricia, go to 2B. You have 2 papers to cover.
Okay. Edward, can you read for us B?
Okay. B says that explain the factors that an organization may consider in determining the need to hire a new employee.
Okay. The factors that an organization may consider in determining the need to hire a new employee. And again, here the word is organization. I think now we're getting keen to understand what the question is asking. So it's kind of what can lead to an organization getting a new hire. Yes, I believe we are all in agreement. That's what the question is asking, so that we don't get lost in the process. So who will go first? Who will want to take that first for us?
I can try.
Yes, Dorcas, go ahead.
Factor number 1, they will consider a financial factor, their state financially. Factor number 2, that vacancy, if they have the vacancy or the opportunity. Am I supposed to answer all am I supposed to mention? I'm supposed to mention how many points?
Yes, and then just try to expound, because with the 10 marks, 1 point you explain. You don't just list. I believe so. You need to expound. We give a point and try to expound on it. You can start.
About
Just in case.
financial factor, they will consider the state of if they have the enough amount or they have enough money to hire a new employee. That is on financial factor. The vacancy, if they already have it. Yes, those two.
Okay, thank you. Tabitha?
Yeah, thank you. The one is maybe there's an expertise that we need, and our existing staff force does not have that particular person. So personnel we can consider hiring. And if a new product also is there, and we need salespeople who've understood it. Thank you. New products or new knowledge skill sets.
Okay, thank you. Any other points?
I think
You can
succession
just
planning.
unmute. Yes.
Yeah, I think succession planning. If we have some staff who are going to retire, then there's a need for replacement for that position.
Any other factors that an organization may consider in determining the need to hire a new employee? You can just
Maybe if I
unmute.
can add anything, maybe expansion of the company. When the company expands, automatically it will need more employees.
Yes. Any other?
I have another one.
Sure, go ahead.
How about if the current workload is a lot, the employees are overloaded, they're not able to handle it. So it may be necessary to hire new employees.
Okay. Mwalimu, you have any comments on the answers, or we move to the next one? Or any other person before we move to the next question? Okay. Edward, you can, so not Edward, Moses, you can read for us question 3. Moses Kinoti.
Question 3. Question 3A, Jane, the human resource manager at MBC Limited, is developing a scoring guide for use during a selection exercise. Outline the aspects that she may include in the guide.
Thank you. So the question is asking, Jane, the human resource manager at ABC, is developing a scoring guide for use during selection exercise. Outline the aspects that she may include in the guide. Don't know if we are all understanding, or someone will just try to make us understand what the question is asking before we start giving our answers. Somebody who has gotten the question? Well,
I think the questions require us to state features that are needed when developing a scorecard.
okay.
The features that are needed when developing a scorecard. That's what the question needs.
Okay.
To my understanding,
Yes.
I think it is asking components of scoring guide.
Okay. Any other maybe observation, Beatrice?
Thank you. So I'm seeing during a selection exercise. This should be recruitment and selection exercise.
Yeah.
So probably Jen is looking at probably what, in terms of what technical aspects or questions can be used during the selection. If there are going to be any practicals, if there are going to be any HR questions, how many marks are we going to award for each question, so that we can be able to get a competitive scoring guide for use during the selection exercise. Thank you.
Okay, so what will Jen need to, what aspect that Jen will need to include in the guide? So what do you think the question is asking? The components of the scoring guide, or what it entails? Actually, it's one and the same thing. Sorry. So do you agree that what we need to explain here, and something else that I've also noted about the question is also good, if you are aware of what is being asked, it's also good to just give a brief explanation, like now what a scoring guide is, and now it's where it's being used. Like, for example, what Beatrice has said, it's on the recruitment and selection. So, and then now we go ahead and now answer the question. So if you are very sure of the definition, it's also an additional point whenever you are answering these questions. So if someone will take us now through how maybe if this is the paper we were to do today, how will you have approached it? Someone to give us the first point. You can just unmute and talk. Yes, Beatrice?
One of the aspects that she can include in the guide is, of course, it depends on what we are looking out for in that role. What level of education are we looking out for? What will be the minimum qualification, and in what area? Are we looking for a technical diploma? Are we looking for a degree? And if it's a degree, in what area? Then also probably we are also looking at what professional experience are we looking out for? And how many years? Is it 1 to 3 years?
Sorry, Beatrice, to just take you back. So what is your first point? What is your first
the
point?
academic qualifications.
Okay.
Then the
Qualification.
professional experience.
Okay.
Then, of course, the technical expertise. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other? Any other point? Yes.
I can add reference checks to what my colleague has just talked about, where we do verification of the past employment and character references.
Okay. Yes, Alice? Who else want to add something?
Okay, sorry, I wanted to add interview performance.
Mm-hmm.
Just how the candidate will show up, the professionalism, the response to the questions, and the level of engagement.
So interview, you said interview?
Performance.
Performance. So at this point, is the interview done or not yet? In the scoring, it's the scoring guide for the interview, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so you've said interview performance.
Yes. So then, of course, when the candidate comes, there will be the criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. just to check on the professionalism, the punctuality, the demeanor, yeah,
Okay.
the quality response and all that.
Okay. Sure. I think if someone has a rejoinder or needs to have a point expounded, you can just proceed so that we make this class a participatory one. Yes, Beatrice.
What can also be included, I've just remembered it's developing a scoring guide. I don't know whether this will be scored because we also look at the salary expectation and of course the availability of the candidate, but this probably they may not be scored. So this one, I don't think they're included, but they don't have necessarily to be scored, but definitely they play a role.
Yeah, in the
They
guide.
play a role.
Okay.
SQ?
Yes, Dorcas.
I have a point. I don't know if it can fit there. You can also include the physical appearance of the employee, the candidate, and also the attitude.
I think so, yes.
Okay, just to add on what the other team members have said.
Yes, Brian.
I think you can include a score point category so as to the way they have said the minimum qualification in terms of academics, the physical appearance, and all those. I think they can be a score point category for each and every subgroup, so that for this category, the maximum marks a candidate can score is this much, and the minimum is this much.
Okay. Any other addition to what has been discussed? Any other additional point? Okay, we can move to the next question B. Outline the benefits that may accrue to an organization as a result of employee separation. Outline the benefits that may accrue to an organization as a result of employee separation. The benefits. I believe this is a bit straightforward. So it's looking for the benefits of employee separation to an organization. Are there any benefits that organization stands to have as a result of employee separation? So someone with the first point, proceed, yes?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Moses.
Okay, I can.
Edward, sorry.
I
Whoever
think
is talking, go ahead.
the first one will be cost reduction. Definitely, when most of the staffs move out, the benefit an organization can get is cost reduction because it will not use much of its resources to either pay or maintain the employees. Thank you.
Another one is
it
brings along fresh ideas. So you find that when an employee leaves the organization, it is now your time to maybe bring people with the different ideas. Yes, that's what I have.
Okay, thanks, Moses and Edward. I believe also there's employee diversification. If maybe one staff leaves and then they get another one, maybe a different person with different perspectives, so to diversify the workforce. So I will say also that's as one of the benefits that an organization stands to accrue. Any other person?
No, I think they can be improved performance in the case that the employee who left was rendered incompetent and unskilled.
So high productivity.
Yes, something more or less.
Okay.
I
Any other?
think also
Yes, Beatrice.
I think there will also be motivation, employee motivation for the remaining employees. They tend to think they are the best, so they feel motivated. I don't know if it can fit.
Okay. I will try maybe your point with promotion, because maybe if someone leaves, they may not rehire and opt to promote the existing ones. So that will really motivate. That's how personally I'll put it, but I think still fine, because if someone leaves and the rest still remain, can act as a motivation, because I believe the job itself is also a motivation just for some of the staff. To just have the job itself is also a motivation factor. Yeah. But I will look at it in terms of now promotion for the people who will now be selected to fill in the gap. Any other point?
Yeah, and I think, Patricia, just to add to that point, it
Yes.
will be an opportunity to reassess the structure. And yeah, and definitely now that may help some kind of changes in the structure, bringing new innovation, yeah, and just to bring newness in the department.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
part
Yeah,
of just
thank
what
you.
you have said. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for rejoining on it, for the rejoinder. Any other before we move to the next one? And I believe we are all benefiting, even if we are not all participating actively. So we try and get something out of this. I don't know if Mwalimu is still on the call. Just for a guide, in case we are handling it right or doing justice to these questions.
Is there
Yes.
an active participant deliberately?
All right.
We are progressing on well. So go on.
All right. That's okay. Thank you. So I assume that whenever you see we are not on the right track, you just come through for us. So we'll be proceeding without checking with you. Thank you. All right. Read for us. Yes, Moses.
Maybe we can talk about improved company culture. Maybe in the case whereby a company has released those we may call banned elements.
Yeah.
And maybe new people with new culture. Yes.
Yeah, fresh culture. Yeah. I agree with you, Moses. I don't know if someone is agreeing with that. Yes.
I can also add on Moses' point. We say it helps in resolving employees' conflicts, whereby when that separations happens, you find most of the times maybe the bad ones or those ones who brings the staff conflict, politics. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with those points. Yes.
I have a point, but I don't know how to restructure it. I also don't know if it's correct. So during employee separation, the organization get to do an exit interview, and they may benefit from the feedback of the employees. So they can see where there's need for improvement.
Yeah. So feedback. Actually, then check on the areas of improvement. So the separation may highlight areas of improvement. That's how I'll personally put it. Thank you. Beatrice?
Thank you, Patricia. I think this had been mentioned before, but I probably want to also add something in line with that in terms of the cost reduction on the organization's side when there's employee separation. I'm looking at it probably if an employee had been there for quite long, probably I don't know, maybe they're retired. And of course, or maybe they had actually reached the maximum point. I'm looking at it in terms of how much they were earning and the loyalty accrued.
Yeah.
So probably we have now an opportunity to bring in maybe a fresh graduate who will be, cheaper than the one who we have separated with. So that can be a reduction in terms of the resourcing costs.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's good. Thanks. I agree with that. Thank you. We can move to the next question. Question 4. Beatrice, can you read it for us? Question 4.
Okay, question 4A. Explain the career management interventions that an organization may adopt to improve employee retention rates, I believe. I repeat, explain the career management interventions that an organization may adopt to improve employee retention rates. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is career management intervention that an organization may adopt to improve employee retention rates. Management interventions. What are these management interventions? Somebody to take it up for us?
I can mention 2 of them.
Yes, Albert.
There was job enrichment. That is where employees take diverse roles. And there was also job expansion, which offers employees opportunities to take on leadership roles, yes.
Can you repeat, please, Albert, the first point?
The first point was there was job enrichment and there was job expansion. So job enrichment is where the employees take on diverse roles or projects to enhance their skills. And now job expansion is where they take on additional responsibilities, probably on leadership.
So those are 2 points, Albert. Job, what is it, the job?
Job enrichment and job expansion.
Okay. Yes, someone else? You can see Beatrice. Beatrice?
We could have sponsorship to training sponsorship, probably to improve the skill set and the competencies of probably the employee. And we could also have something called a job exposure. Maybe we can probably see Beatrice we want to prepare Beatrice for the next role. So she can also take up an acting role so that we prepare her for her future role, because we can see that she has the capabilities of probably being a manager, and maybe she's a supervisor. So maybe we could give her an acting role as a manager, probably when there's a gap in terms of preparation. So this also enhances the retention rate of course, Beatrice.
Okay. So that's on the job exposure.
Yes.
Oh,
Can we
thank you.
call
There's
Beatrice's...
Alice and then Triza. Alice and then Triza. Yes. Go ahead.
I wanted to talk about mentorship and coaching to employees to constantly prepare them for future roles. And by doing so, they are motivated to put a lot of effort and therefore they might not be thinking about exiting the institution. That's my contribution.
Okay, thank you. Next was Triza or that's Alice, and then there's RH 00970.
Okay. Thank you, Patricia. Also, I think about work-life balance and flexibility. When the organization, just comes up with the flexible working arrangements for the workers or for the employees who can work flexible hours, or they can work remotely. So so that's one of them.
Okay, so your point is flexible working hours.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
Patricia.
Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
go ahead. That one. I think there's no name on it.
Okay. I can talk about career pathing, where an organization creates clear career progression plans for its employees. Then we also have succession planning in organizations, where they're able to identify and prepare their employees for future leadership roles.
Yes. Thank you.
Patricia, wanted to add, I don't know if it fits to the question, but if a company offers a competitive salary, I don't think anyone would want to leave here.
Yeah, sure. So competitive compensation. And then Reggie.
My point has been said. It was in regards to good compensation. If you pay the employees well, they are likely to not to leave. And the other thing is that if the organization has a way of just rewarding the employees, they are motivated, and also just checking whether there is job security. There are organizations whereby you can be laid off anytime. So the circumstances really matter a lot. So if you're more secure in the job, then you're likely to stay longer.
Okay. Thank you. The last question, I think, on this, analyze the factors that affect the demand for labor in a country. Factors.
Oh, Patricia, sorry. Before you proceed to question number 4B.
Yes.
Maybe Mwalim can explain what the question entails when it says career management intervention. Are we controlled? Are we supposed to base our argument regarding to career development, or we can maybe come up with other points? I haven't heard anyone talking about maybe a positive work environment, or maybe that one is outside career.
That's a good one, Moliwu.
Looking at employee retention. I think that is one of the last topics we covered. So you are being asked what career management interventions you can introduce to help improve employee retention. So there are many things that can be done to enhance employee retention. However, the examiner is restricting us to career management interventions that will impact employee retention. So the other interventions that enhance employee retention. But what are those specific interventions that are career management related? Hope that is clear. Patricia?
Yes, Malim.
Okay.
Moses, is it
Yes,
clear?
yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
So the focus should be on the factors that are specifically on career management. So I believe we mentioned quite a number: the career progression plan, the aspect of training. Someone mentioned about training, the job exposure, job expansion, still in the career management, and also now the mentorship. Someone also talked about the mentorship and coaching. Yeah, so I believe we did well on that. Thank you. So we can do the final question. This one is analyze the factors that affect demand for labor in a country. Factors that affect the demand of labor in a country.
Hello, I can try.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. One is, let's say, the government policies and interventions. For example, if the government would put a lot of funds in Galana Kulalo irrigation, you see, many students with agricultural skills, you find they'll be more demanded. So when government is putting efforts towards a certain sector, you find through that policies, you find it affects. Now, like in the past, you could find an accountant, finance manager handling tax issues. But since the government became very intentional about collecting taxes, the e-teams, everything, you find now a role like head of tax or tax department in our organization has become very crucial. So you look even for accountants who are specializing in tax as tax accountants, not just financial accountants. So you find now that because of that, the government, the labor demand and supply. So you find tax accountants are now in demand, and you find even if there's a role, it's not that so many people are fighting over that role because it's new and it's just because of a government policy. If I've explained it well, thank you.
Sure, thank you, Tabitha. So it is the government policy or legislation, we call it.
Yes, policies.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Any other point?
I can also add economic stability.
Yes,
because
go ahead.
If the economy is stable, then investors are encouraged to invest or expand their operations, which leads to hiring more employees.
Mm-hmm. Stability, yeah. And then there's also the social and political aspect that I can add on. In the sense that whenever maybe for example during elections and all that, it kind of affects the demand of labor in a country. During elections, even the business tend to slow down on most of their activities, and that can now affect if maybe someone is trying to get new workers or new employees to join a company, then I think during that time might be tricky. So I believe that's another point that may affect demand of labor in a country. Yes, Beatrice. Then Alice.
We could talk about market expansion, growth, opportunities. I'm thinking of probably the UAE, as probably it expands, as it grows, definitely the demands for labor are definitely affected. So I think just the growth of the country, opportunities, investments, all of them affect the demand for labor in a country.
Okay. Yes, Alice. Thank you, Beatrice.
Let me talk about the wage and salary rates. The higher the wages and salary that are paid at any given time, the lower the demand for labor because of cost. So then if it means then that anytime there is increase in wages and salaries, the demand for labor goes down and vice versa. I also want to talk about training and education. when more graduates and are trained and released to the job market, it means then that there's a lot of labor, and it could also affect demand.
Okay. Thank
When
you.
you look at it in terms of the demand and supply of labor curves, and until the time you reach balance, the balance of labor.
Okay. Thank you, Alice. I agree with that. Teresa, then Beatrice.
I can also talk about technological growth. So when there's new technology, or when a new technology is introduced, then there's increased productivity. And when there's more productivity, then we need more labor, higher demand for labor.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Beatrice?
Thank you. I'll probably share two. Number one is the demographics. Like the demographics do affect. An example is age. That can affect because there are some, if we probably do an analysis, probably in the West, the older folks are more than when you look at African markets. We have the youth. Definitely that can be a component that affect the demand for labor in a country, the demographics, even including where one lives, probably urban, rural, accessibility to maybe the operations where the industries are in terms of accessibility. Then we probably could also talk about what skill set is available in that country. Do we have skilled laborers? Do we have non-skilled laborers? That could also probably affect the demand for labor in a country, and also the laws of the country as well. It also affects.
Okay.
Thank
The
you.
laws are actually, yes, thank you, Beatrice. The laws were under, I think, government policy or legislation. I believe that's one point. Somebody had mentioned that, so we can just take note. I think we can approach it in either way, the laws of the country or registration.
Christian, yes, so that we don't lose focus.
Yes.
The question is factors that affect demand for labor. You want to go back and ask what is demand for labor? Who demands? Who needs the labor? Because I've seen some may confuse demand and supply. So who needs demand? Who demands labor in a country? The farms, the organizations that need this labor to produce goods and services. So as you are answering, don't confuse with supply. How many people, you can even just zero down to a company. How many people do we need? Then extrapolate the factors to a national level. So if you look at the technology you are using in production, if it is labor intensive, you will demand more labor. On the other hand, if it is capital intensive, you demand less labor, but more, because you're using more of machines. You look at the wage rate. How much is a wage rate? If it is expensive, the reason you will get a lot of the operations in the West has been automated, and they use a lot of robots, is because labor is expensive. So it's cheaper to engage, or rather to use these robots and machines in production processes than to engage labor. So not to confuse demand and supply when discussing factors that affect labor, demand for labor in a country. Recall when we looked at it in class, we started by general demand for goods and services. What factors affect the general level of demand for goods and services in an economy? price of the commodity, prices of other related commodities, consumer income, future expectations to changes in price, advertising, and then we went from consumer taste and preferences. Then we moved on to affirm what factors determine the level of demand. Aya, tuendelee?
Okay, thank you. We can move to question 5. Alice, please read it for us.
Question 5A. Identify the factors that should be considered when forecasting the demand for labor in an organization. I repeat, identify the factors that should be considered when forecasting the demand for labor in an organization.
Thank you. So the factors that should be considered when forecasting the demand for labor in an organization. So what are these factors that organization need to consider before forecasting the demand for labor? Maybe I can go first. I think one of them is budgeting and planning. So that is something that an organization need to consider first when actually they need to consider when forecasting the demand of labor. So maybe factor in the budget and planning aspect of it so that they know if maybe they will want to have people joining, how much they will set in terms of cost and maybe resources in terms of training them and all that. So I would say budget. Is it usually budget planning and budgeting? Yeah. Or just budgeting itself. Yeah. Any other person or who has maybe need to clarify my point, you're also free to do so. Just unmute and go ahead.
Okay, Patricia, just to maybe a new point, the business growth and strategic goals. Yeah, if an organization has plans to expand or yeah, they have maybe long-term strategic objectives. Like I remember in our organization, we were doing a strategy for the next 40 years. Yeah, so those are some of the labor forever, the demand forecasting for the next 40 years we were doing, because we were looking at the growth of the organization for that period.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other? Yes, Alice?
Sorry, I have a cold.
Sorry.
I wanted to talk about anticipated future production or demand of goods and services in future will then be considered when forecasting the demand for labor. Because if you desire to produce, to sell more in the coming future, it means then that you require higher number of labor, probably even for the casual labor, than when you're anticipating a lower demand for goods and services in future. That's my point.
So your point is, just come up again.
Anticipated production.
Okay, anticipated production. I get it. Thank you.
No, okay, just to maybe if you can help me to understand the question more. Now, these factors that should be considered when forecasting the demand for labor, are we limited maybe to internal factors, maybe within an organization, or be as it may, also external factors that can affect the same the forecasting demand for labor?
Personally, I don't think it's limiting to internal. It should also, because anytime you're forecasting for labor, you also need to factor in any external factors that may affect it. Unless someone is having another reason for maybe not considering the external factors. But personally, I believe as an organization, you need to also factor in any other external factors there.
In discussing demand for labor, normally or rather discussing forecasting for demand internally within the organization, we normally look at short-term factors and long-term factors that will affect our level of demand. We don't go into internal versus external, but just long-term factors and short-term factors, so that the long-term factors may most probably will also be some internal, some external to the organization. Short-term factors are mainly within the organization, but will affect our level of demand for labor.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, Brian, what do you have to add on it? Any point from your side?
Okay, maybe I can say I think it has been said maybe in other terms, the economic growth of the company. So when the company accesses its growth and sees that in one way or the other it is expanding, and hence it may be having more branches and selling more products in the anticipated future, I think that can affect its demand for labor in that aspect.
Okay, thank you.
I will add on, I don't know if it was said, but I kind of lost network. Affirmative action is factors to consider when forecasting labor demand. Affirmative actions like women are encouraged to apply, or people living with disability are encouraged to apply. And then we have technological trends. Technological trends or growth in an organization.
Okay, I can also add on market competition. Can talk about the competitive landscape that can influence hiring strategies and the need for specialized skills. So when the market is demanding for more employees, we will have more demand for labor because of the competition in the market to meet with the competitors of the market.
Okay, thank you. Any other, or we move now to question, we are in which question? Is it 5? 5B. Raymond, please read it for us. Question 5B.
Explain the ways in which learning and development interventions may support employee resourcing in an organization.
Thank you. Explain the ways in which learning and development intervention may support employee resourcing in an organization. So when you are thinking of the answers, think along the learning and development intervention. So we're keenly looking at the learning and development intervention. There could be other interventions, but this question is asking for the learning and development part of it. So we can start. Somebody to just answer it for us. What are the ways in which learning and development intervention may support employee resourcing in an organization? Just unmute and go ahead if you have something.
Succession planning.
Expound.
This is where when we have a gap in an organization, and now you mentor somebody, you mold somebody. With time, he or she will fill that position. So that is what I meant by succession planning.
Okay. Any other?
With intervention, it doesn't come out clearly from your explanation.
So you want me to repeat, or?
You just need to maybe add on how that can, how that is linked to learning and development, how succession planning. I think that's what Maureen is asking. It doesn't come out clearly on your explanation. You want to try someone who want to maybe help Edward? Because Edward, we are linking it with the learning and development. So how will succession planning be a way of supporting employee resourcing in the sense of learning and development?
Maybe I could
Yes.
try.
Patricia, your network will come out.
Oh, it's shaky.
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Oh, or someone can pick up that? Sorry.
It has an echo.
Oh, sorry. Someone should go ahead, and then Beatrice, I can see Anita.
Learning and development will help in talent retention and nurturing of talent within the organization.
Explain the ways in which learning and development is
I
supported.
think maybe we need to first get to understand the question. Beatrice will want to maybe break it down for us. I think that's where we maybe not at on the same page. What do you think the question is asking us?
I think the question is just trying to
Ask
ask us to
development.
explain
How
how
is it
learning and development interventions, L&D solutions may support employee resourcing. So we have to zero in on learning and development interventions versus employee resourcing in an organization. How we can support the quality of the employees in an organization. So for me, I'll give an example, having a strong onboarding policy, having a strong onboarding policy. This includes induction orientation. With a strong onboarding plan in place, it helps the employee, it helps new employees successfully integrate into the organization, successfully perform in the allocated roles and allocated tasks. So that is one example I can give.
Thanks, Beatrice. Someone else? I hope you can hear me well now. I'm trying to change to maybe from Wi-Fi to cable. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's much better.
Good. Now, yes. Someone else?
Way better. You've done it now. Way better. You can hear you very well.
Okay. Sorry. Khadija, you're speaking. Sorry.
I don't know. Okay.
I can't actually hear her. Can you hear Tabitha?
No, she's.
Yeah, I can't hear her.
Yeah, she's breaking. Tabitha, you're breaking. Let's have Triza pick it up, then you can try again later, Tabitha. Triza?
Okay, I think I was just supporting the point that was given for succession planning and leadership development. Yeah, just the organization being able to identify the employee, whom are the future leaders, mentor them, and coach. Yeah, and a very clear career path development programs. So I believe, I don't know whether that is, somebody had given that point, so I was just trying to understand what that could be. And with that very clear career path with the mentorship and coaching, that can support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Tabitha or Brian or anybody else?
I just have maybe kindly if you can assist me with understanding the question or any other team member. Now, when the question says ways in which L&D, learning and development interventions may support employee resourcing in an organization. Now, are we answering this question in the light of L&D interventions in now that employee resourcing includes recruitment, selection, and retention? Now, is it how L&D facilitates recruitment, or how L&D facilitates retention, or both of them, all inclusive?
Thank you. That's a good question because employee resourcing, I believe, is broader. And what does employee resourcing actually entails? Not just restricted to recruitment and
I think
selection.
it's all.
Yes,
And that's
yes,
that.
Teresa. Teresa?
Patricia,
Yes.
I think what the question, our colleague had actually explained,
Yeah.
what the question requires us to do is we give an explanation of how learning and development interventions would help an organization in employee resourcing. And when we look at employee resourcing, we are looking at processes such as attracting, selecting, and retaining the right talent for the organization.
Yes, I actually agree with you, and I believe that has now answered Brian's question, right, Brian? Because it's broader. It's not just limited to attraction and selection or recruitment. It also goes through the retention bit of it on the entire employee resourcing process. So when we are answering, we are not going to limit ourselves to just maybe recruitment or onboarding and all that factors or processes of employee resourcing. So it starts from attraction, selection, retention, just as I think you can rename because I will call you RH 00970. I don't know, maybe your name, so that I can have a proper reference to you. Yes, thank you. I think Brian, that's has answered your question, has it?
Yes, it has answered. I've seen it's all inclusive.
All right, thank you. So we can move to the next question. Brian, will you read it for us? Can you read it for us?
Sorry, Patricia, to take you back. So
Yes,
what I'm saying the answers are, for example, an example of an answer we'd give to 5B.
One that I can remember was the career progression planning. So if you ask me, that also falls under now L&D. And then from Beatrice, I remember saying of clear policies on onboarding. Someone else can add on the rest. I think Teresa was recording for us, noting down the answers for us. Teresa, can you just maybe take us through them?
For which question?
The 5B that you are answering at the moment. B. 5B.
Okay, so what I've noted is succession planning, leadership development, reducing employee turnover, building a strong company culture, and ensuring business continuity. Those are 5 points.
Oh, then I think maybe it's good that they ask the question, because we remember succession planning. Was it really clarified in relations to Learning and development. I think that we didn't get that explanation unless I missed it.
Patricia, maybe I can get a point from what 970 said. Probably we can say that an organization that is known to offer very good learning and development opportunities would be very attractive to potential, employees. That way you can talk about maybe attracting top talent.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that, Maureen. Beatrice?
That's what I was going to say, but just to add on it, definitely it helps in, because we're talking about employee resourcing, it helps in the recruitment and selection aspect in attracting good talent, because one of the things people will ask, especially competitive hires, is what learning and development interventions, what do you offer in terms of career growth that can also help in acquiring good talent in the organization, which is in line with employee resourcing.
Yeah.
Trisha, I had raised a point on talent nurturing and retention. Would that serve? Bearing in mind that we are doing a holistic view of employee resourcing. Does
And now,
that?
Now you link it to learning and development?
Yeah, so it's a way we can nurture talent within organizations and increase retention rate.
Okay. So talent nurturing.
Patricia, I think I can add something now that the question has been expounded. Through learning and development, now the employees that are orienting the company, they will have what we call skill enhancement and knowledge through the trainings. Because we are looking at
proceed.
The talent that we are receiving, and now how to keep the ones that we have already.
So that aspect of retention through upskilling, if I'm getting your point well.
Yes, skill enhancement and knowledge.
Okay. Any other point before we move to the next question? Okay, Anita, can you read for us question 6?
All right, Patricia, question 6A. Explain the circumstances under which an employee may leave an organization.
Thank you. Circumstances under which an employee may leave an organization. Going fast, we'll take it fast for us. Well, would an employee leave an organization? Under which circumstances?
We can talk about an organization with no work-life balance.
Okay.
Can trigger an employee to leave that organization.
Okay. Thank you, Raymond. Jennifer?
With that question, we can look at employee departures, either voluntary or involuntary. One, we can talk of resignation, which is voluntary. The employee may decide to leave due to personal reasons, better job opportunities, or the employee's dissatisfaction with the current job. There can be termination due to poor performance, where the employee is dismissed for failing to meet job expectations after being given warnings or having gone through various trainings. We can also have redundancy or retrenchment, where an organization may do away with some positions due to restructuring, automation, or financial difficulties. Another one may be as a result of end of a contract.
Yeah.
Temporary or contractual employees will definitely leave after completing the agreed contract period.
Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer. I think you've done actually much justice to it already. You've covered all the aspects, both voluntarily and involuntarily, and aspect of termination or resignation. I think what I can add on is maybe it's also death, God forbid, but unfortunately that's also another point that one can leave the organization if they obviously die. So, and termination and all aspect. I don't know if there's any addition from what Jennifer, because she has really covered the better part of the question now.
There's retirement. Retirement?
Retirement, yes. Thanks, Caroline. Thanks. Retirement as well, yeah.
There's
Physical
also
and
health
mental
issues.
capacity, yeah.
Sorry?
Health
I
issues.
think we're saying the same thing. Jocelyn, you can
Oh,
go on.
Jocelyn and Anita. You're
We
talking
have the
about...
same point, so she can go on.
Okay. Jocelyn.
I was saying health issues, where if an employee is probably terminally ill or is incapacitated to be able to work.
Yes.
And there's also compensation concerns. If an employee is not comfortable with the levels of compensation that they're getting from an organization.
Mm-hmm. Any other?
Patricia, I have a question. Is dismissal termination?
Yes, the now, yes, it is. So dismissal under the circumstances that now warrants summary dismissal, for example.
Can we
There's
also
also
say company
coaching.
politics?
Sorry? Is it Jocelyn or Teresa talking?
Teresa is saying poaching.
Oh, poaching. But again, poaching should be now linked with something that may be resignation. Yeah. So if they are poached, what are the circumstances that may make them go? So I think they will be resigning first, if I'm understanding it well. So if we are looking at the circumstances at which, so they can leave when they resign. Yes, they have been poached, so they need to resign. Making sense? I don't know. You can let me know. Someone who is getting it. Teresa, was it Teresa or Jocelyn?
Another
Okay, it's
point.
me who was asking about the company politics.
Oh, company politics. I think that one will still be tied with either resignation.
Okay.
You're leaving because of the company politics, and then I don't know. Someone is getting it. Yes.
Maybe for obvious reasons, better compensation and benefit, or what we call greener pastures.
Can I add something? I think now what we guys are explaining are now the circumstances like resignation, termination, what some of us are explaining. But I think the major points are supposed to be the resignation, termination, death, retirement. Sasa kama hizo za greener pastures, it falls under resignation. I'm resigning because nimepata greener pastures.
Yeah, actually, that's how I was understanding it, unless I think Mwalimu wants to share something with us. Mwalimu, go ahead.
Has spoken to what I was saying.
Mario.
The focus is on circumstances under which an employee may leave an organization. So if you there's the unfortunate one, the death. There's dismissal, there's retirement, there is resignation, there is then when you speak to greener pastures, triggers you to resign. poached, if you are poached by company X, you come back to your employer and you resign. So poaching, greener pastures would be reasons as to why you are resigning. But we want to look at this from the point of view of the main forms of termination that triggers an exit from the company. All right, Teresa, you finish, we go to the next paper.
And now I
Fred,
have a question.
nilete maji ya kunywa.
Okay.
Josephine, is it Josephine Onyisi? Kindly mute. If you can hear us, kindly mute.
Okay. Now, Malimu, my question to you: if you are if you are marking this paper, and clearly someone has not listed the main factors like resignation, termination, redundancy, but they have explained the factors like now poaching to a different company, greener pastures, would you still give the marks?
So why somebody may be dismissed. I think the reasons why somebody may die. And 10 reasons why somebody may resign. Teresa, are we together?
Yes, we are.
So if you want to narrow down to the reasons why I'm resigning, you would get 50 reasons why an employee can resign. You would get 10 reasons why an employee can be dismissed. You would get 1,000 reasons why an employee can die. So those we cannot go that direction. That is why we narrowed down to what are the circumstances under which you may leave the organization. You've resigned, you've died, you retire, you are dismissed. Specific forms that trigger the separation.
That's
so
clear.
For your other reasons, the answers are infinite. So an examiner cannot go that direction. We'll have to go the direction of the specific forms of employee separation.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So we can move to question B, 6B. Teresa, read for us, please.
We are two Teresas, but I'll proceed.
You, Teresa Oma.
Okay.
Thanks.
As the human resource manager at Pastel Logistics, you are preparing for upcoming interviews at the company. Assess the measures you take to enhance the effectiveness of the interview.
Yes, as a human resource manager at Pastel Logistics, you are preparing for an upcoming interview at the company. Assess the measures you will take to enhance the effectiveness of the interviews.
I can give it a try.
Yes, Raymond.
Can talk about a personal approach which should be adopted by establishing a friendly and cordial relationship with the interviewee. And we can see that this can be achieved by being pleasant in your greetings and by displaying interest in the interviewee. You can make the interview to be effective.
So maybe just for the purpose of noting before Stella and then Beatrice, what is your first point now? Raymond?
I can summarize it and talk about a friendly and cordial relationship with the interviewee.
Okay.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes, Stella.
I would look at it from the perspective of the human resource manager preparing for the interview in terms of the venue of the interview. So you would need to have a venue that is conducive in terms of the space, there's less noise. I would also look at preparation of the tools. That could be the questionnaire for the interview. The preparation of the panel in terms of ensuring that you have the technical persons for the areas that you are going to interview these participants on. So you prepare the panel so that you have the right technical persons, the numbers of the interviewers, that is the panelists, the venue. Invitation of the interviewees should be sent through a channel that can reach the interviewees. That is whether it is an SMS or calling or publishing it on a newspaper. Yeah, and those are the four things that I would think about. I don't know whether it makes sense.
Thank you, Stella. So we can hear from also Beatrice if maybe you have a different view of how you understood the question before you give your point. So you can go ahead, Beatrice.
I think Stella has exhaustively tackled the question, but maybe I can add in terms of the composition of the panel. You should be able to get the right composition of the panel that will be available for the interview, and also their availability, and probably have an understanding of what outcome do you want from the interview, what questions are you going to ask, how are you going to ask the questions, availability of how much time will you allocate, all that, as well as probably will you interchange in terms of asking the questions. Yeah, I think Stella has exhausted the question effectively. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other person? Okay, so I think we are good to proceed to the next question. If there's no any question, or if we have gotten it well, they can now move to the next question. The next paper, I believe. Mwalimu, is this the next paper?
The next paper I want you to look at, you can try to be as fast so that we don't lose members before we finish, is a paper for the CHRP, old curriculum, that was done in June 24. So
Did we do the case study for the other paper? We didn't. No.
Start with the section B. Then when we finish, we can look at the case study for this one, just so that we appreciate the nitty-gritties of answering the case study question. Or we start with the case study.
Personally, I think we can do the case study after, so that we just get we can finish with the case studies. If we can, time will allow, we do 2 case studies or 1, just to give us the concept of how to answer such. I don't know what the rest think.
You are the mwalimu, so we move with your direction. Thank you.
Yes, someone?
Sorry, I'm of a different opinion. Now that we've done questions,
yes,
if we can now start with the case study, because some people might need to leave. and we wouldn't want to miss on the case study.
We can look at the case study for this one. Now, the idea behind the case study is what is a scenario is presented that will be testing you on areas of the syllabus. So the case study question will test different areas of the syllabus. The idea is for you to read the case, understand it, and then read the question and be able to answer the question. It's unlikely you will get the answer from the case, but the concept being asked, you have to read the case to understand it, to be able to answer the questions. So for example, this paper, the case was for Steger Bakery Limited. So we'll read the case, then we read the question, then we try to answer the questions. So if you look at the case, is not so long, maybe 5-6 paragraphs. What are the questions? Teresa, so at question 1A, B, C, D. Teresa, read the questions.
We are 2 Teresas.
So you answer the call.
Okay. I read question A.
Yeah, C, D, both them.
All right. A, the company had a certain policy when filing vacant positions. Examine the demerits of the policy. That has 10 marks.
So when you
Then
read
question
the
D.
case, you will be looking for this policy on filling vacant positions, you underline it. B, go on.
The human resource manager recommended a certain method to recruit the head of marketing. Explain the benefits that may accrue to the organization as a result of implementing this recommendation. I continue.
Yes.
C. On C, the human resource manager recommended certain strategies across the departments. Explain such strategies, and it has 10 marks. Then question D, the management instructed Joel to develop certain interventions. Examine the interventions he may have developed. 10 marks.
Thanks, Teresa. So basically what we are saying, we are given 4 questions. You are supposed to read the case, understand where the question comes from, then get answers. It is not a comprehension scenario. So the answers are necessarily not in the case, but the case helps guides you as to where you will get the answer. So let us read the case. We read 2 paragraphs per person so that we move fast. Who starts?
Let me start with the first 2. That is Steger Bakery Limited, SBL. Steger Bakery Limited deals with baking and distribution of confectionaries in various parts of the country. The company, which established in the year 2000 as a workforce of 400 employees, consisting of technical and auxiliary staff. Auxiliary staff. The management of the company believes that the most valuable resources is its human capital. To achieve sustainable growth, the management is keen on the quality of people it employs and has put in place measures to ensure it attracts and retains the best talent in the market. The company revenue has been growing steadily over the years, attributed to visionary leadership, talented employees, and quality product. Steger Bakery Limited had a policy of filling vacant positions internally. The company has adopted a rigorous recruitment and selection process. All vacant positions are advertised in various print and elections media, and those who qualify are invited for oral interviews and thereafter subjected to psychometric tests. In the year 2010, Joel Howard, the management. Okay, sorry, let me get it again. In the year 2010, Joel Howard, the management viewed as meritorious, was appointed to the position of human resource manager. He made various changes to the existing resourcing processes, including the use of performance appraisal process as a tool for making promotion decision. Let me just finish. In addition, Joel reviewed the existing job description since he had observed that they were vague and duties were allocated based on the discretion of the manager. Employees were allocated duties. Lost.
Lisha amechoka. Triza Ouma, soma msaidie kusoma.
Let me help.
In addition.
Okay. In addition, Joel reviewed the existing job description since he had observed that they were vague and duties were allocated based on the discretion of the manager. Employees were allocated duties that were not in line with their qualifications. In the year 2015, the position of the head of marketing fell vacant, and John, who previously served in the position of assistant manager, was promoted. However, 2 years after the appointment, the performance of the department deteriorated. This was attributed to John's poor people management skills. The human resource manager was concerned with the poor performance of the department, and employees complained frequently about John's leadership approach. An investigation was conducted by the human resource manager revealed that 1. Employees were deployed arbitrarily in the disregard to their qualifications. Point 2, the performance appraisal process was conducted subjectively. 3, employees were not involved in the decision-making process. 4, poor communication was prevalent across the departments. 5, the staff had no clear sense of purpose. Based on the finding, the human resource manager recommended to the board to recruit a suitable head of marketing from the external labor market. The position was advised externally, and Timothy was appointed to the position based on his vast experience. On taking up the appointment, Timothy took time to study and analyze the situation at the department. He observed that employees... Scroll, Mwalimu. Mwalimu, kindly scroll up. Employees in the department had an acute shortage of core competencies in marketing. This was attributed to high staff turnover in the department, which the management had not addressed. In addition, this analysis confirmed the findings of the investigation previously conducted by the human resource manager. The CEO consequently directed the human resource manager to work closely with Timothy in coming up with recommendations to address the identified challenges. In implementing the CEO's directive, the HR manager developed a human resource plan with an aim of ensuring optimal staffing levels in the department. Emphasis was laid on open channels of communication and staff empowerment. The marketing manager pledged to institutionalize objectivity in the performance appraisal process. Joel recommended various strategies for minimizing labor turnover across the departments. To improve the recruitment and selection process, Joel advocated for an online recruitment method. Within 3 months, Joel and Timothy finalized the report and tabled it before the management team. After deliberations, the recommendations were approved for implementation. In improving the recommendations, the CEO instructed the human resource manager to develop interventions that will make the company an employer of choice. Following the execution of the various interventions, the company's performance improved significantly. The profitability rose by 20% by the year 2020. The management of SBL has resolved to develop relevant policies and programs to position human capital as a source of sustainable competitive advantages.
So, read the question.
Question A, the company had a certain policy when filling the vacant positions. Examine the demerits of the policy.
So the company had a certain policy when filling vacant positions. Examine the demerits of the policy. So hiyo inatoka wapi? Imetoka wapi? If you read the text.
Internal recruitment.
Which paragraph?
It is up there, Mwalimu. Scroll
To
up.
make changes to the existing resourcing process.
Where? Paragraph 1, 2, 3.
One.
I think 2, the company revenue.
The second paragraph.
Yes, the company revenue had been growing steadily over the years, attributed to visionary leadership, talented employees, and quality products. Stager Bakery Limited has a policy of filling vacant positions internally.
So filling vacant positions internally. So what is the question? The company has a certain policy when filling vacant positions. Examine the demerits of the policy. So what are the demerits of filling vacant positions?
Internally.
So you see, if you've not read the case, you would not be in a position to get the policy they use and thus not able to speak to the demerits. Hiyo iko kwa notes direct, si ndio?
Yes.
That one is lifted direct from the notes.
Yes.
You can get back that. B, read the question.
Question B, the human resource manager recommended us. Sorry? Okay, I'm reading question B. The human resource manager recommended a certain method to recruit the head of marketing. Explain the benefits that may accrue to the organization as a result of implementing this recommendation.
Which paragraph?
The last paragraph on the first page. That begins from, based on the findings, the human resource manager recommended to the board to recruit a suitable head of marketing from the external labor.
The position was advertised externally and Timothy was appointed to the position based on his vast experience. Jane, repeat your question.
The question reads, the human resource manager recommended a certain method to recruit the head of marketing. Explain the benefits that may accrue to the organization as a result of implementing this recommendation.
So, Mwalimu,
Benefits
are we
of
talking
what?
about external sourcing? Sourcing externally.
So what are the benefits of sourcing externally?
You can be able to get a large pool of talent with different skills that are required.
You also find people with a different culture from the one that is in the organization. So you could easily bring in new blood into the system.
Where you will get the demerits of internal recruitment. In the notes, you will also get the merits of external recruitment. Jen, question C.
Question C, the human resource manager recommended certain strategies across the departments. Explain such strategies.
These strategies that were recommended by the human resource manager. Inapatikana?
One of them was online recruitment.
Resource manager recommended certain strategies across the departments. Explain such strategies. The human resource manager recommended certain strategies across the departments. Which are these strategies recommended by the human resource manager?
We talked about a human resource plan. That is actually the main strategies, the human resource plan. Performance appraisal. Online recruitment. I don't know. I think those are the three main ones: the human resource plan, open communication channels.
Open channels of communication.
Performance appraisal process, and the online recruitment. And the online recruitment method.
Online recruitment. What else?
Staff empowerment.
Staff empowerment.
Open channels of communication.
So you have to explain each of these strategies. So you see, you have to read the case to get the strategies to be able to explain them. So it is open channels of communication. Explain how open channels of communication work. When it is performance appraisal, when it is staff empowerment, explain how these all work. Then question 1D.
Question 1D reads, the management instructed Joel to develop certain interventions. Examine the interventions he may have developed.
Which are these interventions? Which are these interventions?
I think, Mwalimu, the interventions here may not come from the actual but what is alluded by the human resource plan, probably now as the actions. Yes, Mwalimu. Yes.
Nisomee hapa. Hii paragraph iko katikati hapa.
Following the execution of various in improving the recommendations, the CEO instructed the human resource manager to develop interventions that would make the company an employer of choice.
The question. Read question 1D.
The management instructed Joel to develop certain interventions. Examine the interventions he may have developed.
Which are those interventions? Interventions that would make the company an employer of choice.
So can we say employee welfare? And then talk about maybe medical covers, talk about in employee welfare, things like having probably even a room for mothers to breastfeed, such things. I'll talk about employee welfare.
Yes, Mwalimu, I'll just also add in, I'll agree with Stella and put it in the point of competitive compensation and reward. That will make some of the intervention that will make this company be the employer of choice.
Thanks. Other than competitive reward?
Mwalimu, we can talk about Joel modernizing the recruitment process. He advocated for online recruitment methods to enhance efficiency and attract a wider pool of candidates, which ensures a merit-based hiring process.
Can you also talk about competitive remuneration or salaries?
Stepping up, so the class is under you and your colleagues. I'll be back in another 20 or so minutes. There's something I've been called to attend to. So in case you are unable to scroll beyond question 2, question 3, I've sent the paper on WhatsApp. So you can look at those other ones that you are not able to, if you are unable to scroll. Question 5 and 6. Is that okay?
Yes, Mwalimu.
Yes, Mwalimu.
Haya, muendelee mumalize. I'll join you in a few, maybe 15 or so minutes. Haya, Patricia, chukua jukumu.
Okay, so we basically done with question 1 now. So we go to question 2, unless someone has a question, but I believe we are done, right? So who will read for us question 2? Somebody to volunteer and read for us question 2. It reads,
Assess the benefits that may accrue to an organization that engages part-time employees.
thank you. What are the benefits that may accrue to an organization that engages part-time employees? First one, who will want to take it up?
Patricia, I can give it a shot.
Yes.
Reduction in overheads in labor cost.
Okay, reduction. That's kind of sounds like 2 points, Anita.
Oh,
You've talked about costs and then the reduction of overheads, which I believe
okay.
is the
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, maybe you can separate
Yeah.
so that you have reduction of personnel emolument, because when you have a part-time, you don't pay gratuity, you don't pay or pension, there is no pension liability, and because you're just paying for the service. Then probably when you talk about the overheads, then you do not provide maybe like a desk in the office, you don't provide, let's say, a laptop, all this that would go into a full-time employee that would have to give them the tools of trade.
Yeah, I want to agree with Stella. I think you've also seen it, that actually you mentioned 2 points, so it can help you have another point if instead of just bundling them up in 1 point. Beatrice?
Thank you. I think another benefit of engaging part-time employees, it will tie into what Stella had talked about. You're not tied to long-term contractual obligations. Number 2, you don't overburden the existing employees. They can focus on their roles. They can focus on their workload. Number 3, these part-time employees can also act as a gap fill. They can also be locums in the case of probably there's a gap At least they're familiar with the organization, they're familiar with the tasks. They can act as a gap fill in case probably there's a gap before you go ahead and fill the role. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Mercy, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other point?
Patricia, if I can add,
Yes.
we will have reduced overtime costs since we have flexible working or we have flexible staff, whereby instead of working overtime, you bring in another group that can handle that work.
At that time. Yes, I agree with that. Thank you. Any other point?
Patricia,
Yes.
in addition to what Moses has said, it's also useful when you need employees for a short term. For example, when there is excess need for production, you engage them, and after that, then they can you can do away with them. It's just a stopgap measure without engaging employees that have a lot of demands in future.
Okay, so does it mean that part-time employees are actually their contracts are a bit flexible? If I'm just trying to add on what Alice has shared with us, they are more flexible. Their contracts are not really watertight. So
Yes, they're
there's
not. Like
yeah.
Patricia, like in the teaching fraternity,
Yes.
if you have employees that have gone, say, for maternity leave,
yeah,
you engage those that are on part-time to stand for them for a short time. After that, they can come back to take their role.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. Can we move now to question B? Let me read. Explain the factors that may influence the choice of recruitment method adopted in an organization. What are the factors that may influence the choice of recruitment methods adopted in an organization? If you are ready with the first point, please just unmute and go ahead.
Of course, the type of job that, the type of role, probably it's a technical role, it's a managerial role, it's a lower level role. That should influence the recruitment method that will be adopted for the recruitment exercise. Thank you.
The cost.
Thank you. So that is the technicality of the job. Sorry, Stella. I just want to get the point from Beatrice clearly. It's the technicality of the job as a factor.
Or the skill that you require.
Okay.
Yep. And my answer, I'm giving my point. I will talk about the cost available for sourcing. Yeah, because if you, and then of course the technology available.
Okay.
Like at my workplace,
Mm-hmm.
we can have online recruitment, but the other problem is that we have a portal, yes, but this technology, the kind for some cadres, they are not able to even upload their documents because they do not have the skills. Like we were recruiting what we call enforcement officers. So basically these are Form 4 leavers, and in some places they don't have the technical knowledge to even use this kind of portal. So you look at that technology as are the people that you are intending to recruit able to use the technology.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Stella, for that. Any other comment and point?
We can talk about company policy on recruitment.
Okay. Expand.
companies and institutions have different way of recruiting according to their policies. Some prefer that you do it through advertisement. Some prefer to use internal and use depending on the kind or the nature of the employees they require. Some also use the same part-timers, those that have been developed over time. So from their pool. So I think it just depends on the company
policies, the recruitment policies. Thanks. Thank you. Any other comment, or we move to the next so that at least now also don't take long. At least if we get the concept and understand the question, then I think we are really good to go. We can even do maybe further checks later on at our own time. Allow me to then move to the next question. Somebody to read it for us. Question
Patricia,
3.
Patricia, I thought I will add, if you don't
Okay,
mind.
please.
I know you've
Please.
said that probably as long as you get the concept, but probably I thought because we're using maybe our own actual day-to-day roles to maybe shed more light. So
Yeah,
of
sure.
course the budget definitely affects the recruitment method.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Yes.
Also, like in our case, I think also I don't know whether it is the logistics of the candidates, because sometimes we may want to be conducting physical interviews, but the location of the candidates probably are far off. So that one can also influence in terms of how we are going to what method we're going to use to conduct the recruitment for candidates who are not within the physical locality. So that means definitely we may have physical, and we may also we may have a hybrid. We may have physical, we may have virtual, or we may have, like for us, we have different offices. They can also support the candidate within the nearest town or whatever.
Okay. So in that point, now we say location, or we say the logistics. Before we now start expounding with examples, how will we phrase the point? I'm just asking so that we get to, is it the logistics of the job, or we say
I think you talk about geographic. Hello? I think you talk about geographic location.
Okay.
Because sometimes you may find that if you're looking for international positions, you may, just to push that point further, if you're looking for international positions, you may have to go further and do like online platforms, and get international agencies.
Yeah. And then also the nature of the job, is it on site or it's hybrid or remote? I think that one will also be a factor. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. Yes,
Also,
someone else?
I think for that point also, I think for me, if I was answering this, I would join demographic and geographic factors.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
so
expand now.
Geographic has already been explained. So now demographic, maybe in terms of the age of people in that particular place, the race, the sex of people in that place.
I believe that's also a point actually now to just separate the two, because we can actually explain them in different ways. Now the geographical is different from the demographics, right? Any other before we move to the next one? Somebody with a point or a rejoinder? Okay. I believe then we can move to the next question. Somebody to read it for us. Question 3.
Yes, explain the types of tests that may be used during the selection process.
Thank you, Raymond. Explain the types of tests that may be used during the selection process. What are the types of tests?
We have psychometric tests. I guess that is the interviewing, right?
Yes, the
recruitment
selection.
is about, recruitment is about pulling them together, people with some form of skill, so that you have a pool. Then now you go ahead to select, I think through interviewing. So you would talk about psychometric tests. You can have oral tests.
Aptitude test.
Physical ability tests.
The physical, you can also use, add the word endurance, like what they use, it's called endurance tests, where like what they do for military guys and people for
Okay.
security.
And medical tests.
What about emotional intelligence tests and integrity tests?
I don't know how EQ is done, but I think integrity is possible because you've seen these interviews where someone drops money, they want to test your honesty, and yeah, so someone drops money and then you pick and you process as much as they're, I mean, normally on social media like Facebook, but I think it can be a test. But I don't know how we can do EQ test.
For IQ, I think it can fall under the cognitive ability tests, where they measure intelligence, reasoning, memory, and an individual's problem-solving skills.
Actually, now I've also thought maybe there is the tests are grouped in a way. For example, now the physical test is under like what Jennifer you just mentioned, cognitive ability test. I believe we could be listing the examples that falls under the test that has to be done during selection. So I don't know if there's the same way. Remember the question for circumstances under which employee may leave. We have resignation. So there are things that can trigger resignation. So is it the same? Does it apply with this question? So we have like cognitive ability test, and now the example under cognitive, which maybe testing the IQ, the ability to work or under pressure or something. I'm just thinking out loud to see if we are answering it well and if the examiner is looking at the specific category of test or the example, which can be infinite. Somebody?
Yeah, I guess yes. The level of CHRP, I think it is at a higher level of testing. You know, we have what we call the Bloom's taxonomy, where you would have the first level where it's just about recall, like questions like what, not even how, you're just recalling. Then at the higher level of almost actually the highest level, you'd be looking at application. And for us, if you look at these questions, there's more application, like you're told to examine, assess, outline. You know, even with the whole array of having a question on a case study, this definitely we are at the level of application, the highest level of the Bloom's taxonomy. So I guess yes,
Yeah,
we need to
thank
look
you.
at these things in that
Yes.
perspective.
Yes, I hope that is clear for sure. So maybe just to recap on what we've shared so far, somebody mentioned is it the aptitude test or the psychometric? Psychometric. So I believe under psychometric, there are now examples based on now how Stella has also expounded on the level of exam that we are doing. We are not really expected to give the minor example, but to look at it at the broader aspect of what the question is asking. So just to recap what we've noted down so far, I don't know if Teresa, you're still noting down. You can just read for us some of the types that we've given.
Yes, so what we had given is aptitude test, oral test, psychometric test, endurance or physical ability test, and then we have integrity test. But based on Stella's explanation, I have asked AI, and I've seen most of the things that we've listed are actually examples of the main test. So
Okay.
for AI, according to AI, there's cognitive ability test, which now examples are verbal reasoning, abstract reasoning, critical thinking, problem solving. And then the second one is job knowledge test. So this test assess candidates' knowledge and understanding of the specific skills and knowledge required for the job. And then we have situational judgment test. This test assess candidates' ability to make sound judgment and decision in hypothetical job-related scenarios. And then we have integrity test. That one we had listed. Examples is the test assess a candidate's honesty, trustworthiness, and ethical behavior. And then the last one is personality test. So this one includes purpose. The test assess a candidate's personality traits and behaviors to determine their suitability for the job and company culture. So I'm going to add a few of these also to the notes, and then I'll share a few of this from AI.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if there's any additional point to that. Is it okay to move to the next one?
I have an additional point.
Yes, Stella. Stella?
As well. I'm saying for this, for most of the questions, it is important for us to play safe so that if you're looking at, let's say, cognitive ability test, then it's safer for you not to just use that cognitive ability, but just so that you have more in case you forget the others. If you do understand that maybe aptitude and psychometric fall in the cognitive, then you'd rather just have the psychometric, the aptitude, the endurance, and the integrity. Because as you can see, cognitive will cover all the others. And then now you may risk not just having the 5. Because if you look at this question, it's 5, probably 5, and then each explained. So yeah, I'm just looking at it and saying, let us look at it in a way that as much as it is tested at the highest level of understanding, just play it safe so that you don't have one that captures everything. And once you give that one, you're cooked for the others.
And thank you, Stella. Dorcas?
Yes, according to I've tried to Google, and I've gotten 10 of them. We have cognitive tests, cognitive ability test that measures candidates' mental capabilities, problem skills. Then we have personality test that assesses personal traits to determine cultural fit and work style. Then we have number 3, skills and competence test, evaluates candidates' technical knowledge and proficiency in specific job-related skills. Then we have number 4, situational judgmental tests. Number 5, we have psychometric tests. Number 6, integrated and honest test. Number 7, emotional intelligence test. Then we have physical ability tests. I can't continue. My kids have popped in.
It's okay. Say hi to your baby. All right. Anybody with additional on what has been shared so far? Okay. I think we can move to the next question. And that is question. What is it? Triza tuko question.
Question 3B.
Question 3B. Yeah.
Outline the type of information that may be included in a job specification.
Someone to unmute and just take it up.
Outline the type of information that may be included in a job specification.
Yes, what are those information that will be included in the job specification? And first of all, it's important to know what a job specification is. I remember, I don't know if it's this class where we did job description and job specification. And if I want to just separate the two for the purpose of revision, job description entails the details about the job. For example, the responsibility, the duties, the line manager, the relationship, and all that. And then job specification entails the personal information. It's also called the personal profile. So job description is job profile, but job specification is about personal profile. So personal is about the person, their abilities, if I'm not wrong. Somebody can correct me. So job specification is about the person's ability to work, the qualifications, yes, the experience. So I believe that's what job specification is. So the question is asking us to outline the type of information that may be included in the job specification. So I want to believe that the first information could be the person's qualification for the job. What are the qualification of the person? Because it's all about the person's profile. I think someone can add if you have something to add on that, or now we can list the type of information that will be found or that should be included. Just unmute and go ahead.
I think we have physical characteristics, that is height, weight, age, voice, vision. Yes, those kind of physical characteristics.
Okay. Somebody to add on? Yes, Moses, thank you. Dorcas, you want to say something? Ama it's ya kitambo? Mkono, I can see your answer up.
Ni ya kitambo.
Oh, sawa. Any other? The type of information that
I think you can talk about. I think you can talk about age limit. There's some jobs that require age limits, like maybe the army, police, that kind of thing. And then I think you can also talk about. You can talk about skills. Sometimes they want to be specific about the technical skills that they need or the soft skills that are needed to perform the job, like, for example, problem solving, computer skills, communication skills, that kind of thing.
Thank you, Maureen. Any other that you can note of?
We can talk of qualifications.
Yes, Teresa. Then the other person was trying to talk. Yes, Teresa.
We can talk of qualification. And then we can also talk of psychological and social characteristics.
Okay, thank you. Then there was another person trying to add something. Go ahead.
Yeah, we can also talk about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
The relevant experience to the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other?
So now when we talk about experience, I think it falls under qualification. I've gone back to the notes.
Okay.
And I've seen the main points that we are supposed to list, and then there are examples of the main points, just like those other questions.
You can just read them for us.
So what we had noted on the notes were physical characteristics, personal characteristics, psychological and social characteristics, mental characteristics, skills and talent, qualification, and then lastly, personality and temperament requirements.
Okay. I don't know if you've gotten that, or if someone will want you to reshare again. So, Teresa, you said? qualification. Maybe you can just read again. Just read through, please.
Physical characteristics like the height, the weight, and all that. And then personal characteristics of the candidate. And then we have psychological and social characteristics. And then we have mental characteristics. And then skills and talent, someone had mentioned. And then we have qualifications. And then we have personality and temperament requirements.
Thank you, Teresa. Anybody with a question or an additional point to
Yes, I
that?
have a question.
Yes,
So
Olga.
experience, it is under which one now? Is it a point by its own or it is under which point, please?
I think it's under qualification. When you say what are the, basically in an interview, if I'm asked what are the qualifications that I have for this job, I would say I have experience. I have 8 years experience and stuff.
Different opinion. I'm of a different opinion in that I
Yes.
think qualifications are educational in terms of, do you have a diploma, do you have a degree, do you have a certification in a particular position? But experience is the number of years that you have worked in a particular field. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's still correct. Like I was not trying to define experience as qualification. I was just saying, for me, it still falls under the same category. But I understand your point for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other point or any other clarification that you may need? Is it okay to move to the next one? That is question 4. Yes?
Also, sorry, let me just outline this. Most of these things are the same as those for us, those who are taking human resource and management. And when I asked the teacher, by the way, the examiners are very flexible. Like we don't have to, I think someone had mentioned that we don't have to really like just say qualification and stuff. So I will still agree that you could still write experience and still get a point out of it.
Okay.
As long as you explain yourself and yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I
Can
have
we
a
move?
question.
Yes, Jocelyn.
On the same job specification question, if you give a point on belonging to a professional body, would it suffice? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Somebody to maybe help us with that, because I believe I will also put it under qualifications. For someone to qualify for a job, for example, if it is an HR job or if it's a finance job and they need a certain qualification on the professional aspect of it, they will include it under qualifications. I don't know, but someone can correct or just help us.
I think that point is just good enough because I will put it like under licenses and certifications. So if there are any required licenses, certifications, professional credentials, that would fall under that.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that, Maureen. Don't know. I think, should we now move to the next question, please?
Okay.
All right. That's fine. So read it for us, Julie. Julie Opar.
Right. In relation to human resource planning, explain the objectives of scenario planning.
So first of all, what is scenario planning? So that we are now able to even give the objective of its objectives. Scenario planning, someone? Which unit, which topic is this? Scenario planning falls under which topic? Just to maybe help us someone to just scan through quickly, if maybe we can scan through to know. Scenario planning.
Hey, me, I don't remember
I think
reading anything like this.
if I can try. Sorry.
Okay, so try.
Scenario planning is maybe planning for the future, maybe for the future and uncertainties, because you don't know what the future holds. Now you plan before that thing maybe affects, or maybe, yes, that's my stand anyway.
Oh, okay, all right. So you're looking at it at a point of uncertainties, planning for any uncertainties in the future.
Yes.
Okay.
So that means that the planning is for anything.
Now, in relation to human resource planning, so we are going to tie it with human resource planning. If what I've gotten from Moses on what scenario planning means, now we tie it to human resource planning. Not just anything, but on the aspect of human resource planning. And that I believe is now on the aspect of human resource in human resource to the organization. For example, if you want to hire or recruit, or someone has left, so in terms of the resource being the human aspect of the planning. Alice?
Yes, I wanted to say that it is looking at possible risks, human resource in this case, risks in future, and possible ways of mitigating those risks is actually what scenario planning is about.
Okay, so it is the risk.
There is possible HR risks and circumstances that can arise in future, and looking at them now, and then provide mitigation measures for such challenges or such risks that are likely to arise in future.
Okay.
So that I can give an example.
Yes, please.
You have like look at a possible risk, like in a whole department, everybody resigns. Like in ICT department, the crucial part of HR, and they decide that they are resigning. In such a case, how do you feel? If that happens, what do you do?
Okay.
So thank you. And then think about looking at it in terms of what you do as an HR person to plan for such scenarios. So you look at all the aspects of HR, all what is done in HR, and then the future. It's actually used in strategic planning, in strategic management, HR strategic management. And then all the activities, all the possible scenarios that can come, and then what are the mitigating measures.
Okay. And now the question, thank you, Alice. And now the question is asking us for the objectives of doing that scenario planning. Why are the objectives? Why really? No. Okay. For example, now to anticipate maybe future happenings, or if there's a risk in future. And I think one of the objectives that I will maybe think of right now is to ensure that proper decisions are made whenever there's an uncertainty in the future. So that will be an objective of doing the scenario planning, so that proper decisions are done whenever we have any uncertainties in future. For example, if maybe someone resigns. So I will give to enable decision making as one of the objectives of doing scenario planning. If I combine what Moses and now Alice has expounded on what scenario planning is, I would say one of them is to be able to make decision or right decision. If you are in agreement or if you need to add additional point based on that.
I think I would add, based on all that, will promote strategic thinking so that you're able to think strategically about the future. You consider pitfalls or consequences of the decision making that you're doing presently and even for the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other?
Would also say
Any other?
budgeting.
Yes.
Budgeting.
Budgeting, yes.
Yes, for budgeting for any eventuality.
Okay. So we said to budget, to enable like budgeting to be done.
I don't know
Any
how I
other?
put it. I
Yes.
don't know how I put the point of someone is speaking.
Okay. Someone who was speaking, you can go ahead and then Jocelyn.
Yes, thank you. I'd say another objective for this is to align stakeholders. So this is by ensuring different departments and teams have shared understanding of potential future direction.
Okay. Thank you, Mercy. Yes, Jocelyn.
I didn't hear what she said.
I had alignment, and actually, I don't know. Thank you for even asking again. Alignment, how I am understanding it, if is to maybe let the stakeholders know what the plan is for scenario planning or any eventuality there's an issue. So it's to align, and I will say personally, I'll say to align with the strategic objective as far as scenario planning is concerned. I don't know if that is the point, but I just got the aspect of alignment. And I believe that's what Mercy is saying. Mercy, you can just come up again.
Yes, it's the same thing you're explaining.
Okay, all right.
Just,
Thank you.
from a different angle, but it's the same.
Patricia.
Yes.
I don't know whether I got confused when you're explaining. Is it that we're aligning the HR strategy with business goals?
To align the planning, remember this is the scenario planning, and so from the explanation of scenario planning is to plan for any eventuality. Maybe there's an issue with the department, people have resigned, or there's a risk, right? And then what I'm explaining now as far as alignment is concerned, because with the strategic planning or objectives, they need to have an aspect of planning on the eventuality and uncertainties. So to do a scenario planning, someone will also need to align it with what is on the strategic plan for the organization. So the objective of doing scenario planning is to also align with what is in there, but someone can correct it or expound on it. But I want to believe we can link it up with the strategic plan on the scenario planning.
Okay, I was actually thinking of HR policies and the workforce plans. And in scenario planning, that means anything can happen. Organization can face diverse risks that might end up affecting the work plans. An organization might be forced to change some of its policies to reflect the changes that are currently happening. So my thinking was we align those HR strategies with the business goals.
Okay.
Patricia, I think scenario planning really is to ensure that we have contingency measures that would ensure we have business continuity. Yeah.
I agree. Now I've also done a quick check, AI, just an overview. It's saying HR planning Scenario planning aims to prepare the uncertainty by exploring various potential future scenarios and their impact on workforce needs, enabling proactive strategies and resource allocation. So it's saying in HR planning, scenario planning aims to prepare for uncertainty by exploring various potential future scenarios and their impact on workforce needs, enabling proactive strategies and resource allocation. So from AI, it's saying here more detailed explanation. So one, anticipating future needs. Scenario planning helps HR department to anticipate future workforce needs by considering different potential scenarios, such as economic downturns, technological advancement, or regulatory changes. And then there was the aspect to identify skill gaps. So by exploring various scenarios, HR can identify potential skill gaps and proactively develop a training and development programs to ensure the workforce has necessary skills. And then someone has talked about this. It's developing contingency plans. Scenario plannings allow organizations to develop a contingency plan for different situations, ensuring that they are prepared for potential challenges and can respond effectively. And then there's the aspect of improving decision making. By considering multiple possibilities, scenario planning helps HR make more informed and strategic decisions regarding work planning and recruitment and training. Should I go on? It's quite a lot. We can check. There's also optimizing resource allocation, promoting strategic thinking. Yeah. I don't know if we are in the right track with that, and if someone is of a different opinion, you can let us know, but I believe we can work with that. Is it okay to move to the next question? That is question 4. Question 4B.
Yes, let's move on.
All right, thank
Yes,
you.
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, thank you. Moses, please read for us question 4B.
Question 4B. Outline the powers of health officer as prescribed in the Occupational Safety and Health Act.
Thank you.
Can I? Okay.
Yes, please. Please read again.
Okay. Question 4. Outline the powers of an health officer as prescribed in the Occupational Safety and Health Act. 10 marks.
Yes, I think this one is very specific. We need to outline the powers of our health officers prescribed on the Occupational Safety and Health Act. So this one is as specific as possible. So someone to get us to the Occupational Safety and Health Act, we get to know the powers of an health officer. Please, I don't know. It's sounding more of an employee relations and labor laws.
Okay.
Or maybe, I don't know if it's emerging issues, I don't know, but I think it's, because I'm doing employee relations and labor laws, I think it's got to learn about it there. Most of the acts are actually on the laws, labor laws. Unit. Yeah.
Patricia,
I don't know. Is Mwalimu with us still? Is someone, yes, go ahead.
can point you guys out to that's OSHA Act Article 32. That talks about powers of an occupational safety and health officer. That should be page 28 of the Act.
Are you able to project or just list for us?
Okay, it's quite a long one. Would you allow me to read?
Sure.
Okay. It says an occupational safety and health officer shall, for the purpose of the execution of this act, have power to do all or any of the following things: A, to enter, inspect, and examine by day or by night a workplace and every part thereof when he has reasonable cause to believe that any person is employed therein, and to enter, inspect, and examine by day any place which he has reasonable cause to believe to be a workplace and any part of any. Yeah. Yes, Jocelyn?
I have not spoken yet.
Oh, okay. Apologies for that. To enter, inspect, and examine by day or by night a workplace and every part thereof which he has reasonable cause to believe that any person is employed therein, and to enter, inspect, and examine by day any place which he has reasonable cause to believe rather, to be a workplace, and any part of any building which a workplace forms part, and in which he has reasonable cause to believe that explosive, highly flammable, or any other hazardous materials are stored or used, provided that an occupational safety and health officer shall, whenever it is predictable so to do, and will not, in his opinion, defeat the object of his inspection, notify the occupier of some other person in authority at a workplace of his arrival at the workplace for the purpose of inspecting it. When an occupational safety and health officer has inspected a workplace without having first given the notification referred to in paragraph 1 of his proviso, he shall, within a reasonable time after such inspection, inform the occupier and the director in writing of the reasons why no notification was given. With regard to any place of work which he has power to enter, to direct that those premises or any part of them or anything therein shall be left undisturbed, whether generally or in particular respects, for so long as it's reasonably necessary for the purposes of any examination or investigation. To take such measurements and photographs and making such recordings as he may consider necessary for the purposes of any examination or investigation under the Act, to develop and print photographs of scenes of occupational accidents, to take and remove samples of any articles or substances found at any place of work which he has power to enter, and of the atmosphere in or in the vicinity of such a place of work, subject to the employer being notified of any samples so taken, to take with him a police officer if he has reasonable cause to apprehend any serious obstruction in the execution of his duty, to require the production of the registers, certificates, notices, and documents kept in pursuance of this Act, and to inspect, examine, and copy any of them. To make such examination and inquiry as may be necessary to ascertain whether the provisions of this Act and of the enactments for the time being is force relating to public health and are complied with so far as respects a workplace and any persons employed in a workplace. To require any person whom he finds in a workplace to give such information as it is in his power to give as to who is the occupier of the workplace. To examine either alone or in the presence of any other person as he thinks fit with respect to matters under this Act, every person whom he finds in a workplace or whom he has reasonable cause to believe to be or to have been within the preceding 6 months employed in a workplace, and to require every such person to do so, examine and to sign a declaration of the truth of the matters respecting which he is so examined. So, however, that no one shall be required under this provision to answer any question or to give any evidence tendering to incriminating himself. And in case of any occupational safety and health officer he is a medical practitioner, to carry out such medical examination as may be necessary for the purposes of his duties under this Act, and to exercise such other powers as may be necessary for the purpose of this Act. It's quite a long one.
Yeah, I can see. Thank you very much for that. At least we know you said section 32.
Article 32.
Article 32, sorry. Yes. So maybe it will just require us to go through that, but thank you for reading it through. And then we get to know the specific powers. But already I've gotten, I think, 2. I don't know what else, but I've gotten the power to access and inspect. Inspect the workplace? And the other one is also to take. Personally, though, I've gotten 2 from the thread. Is from the read. One is also to take pictures and recordings of the place. They're also, I believe, powers. If there's someone with another additional point on the powers from what Jennifer has read, or if you already gotten a way of summarizing that Article 32 of the OSHA. OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Health Act.
Okay, Patricia.
I think I've got an examination and inquiry where the health officer has powers to examine and to inquire anything about the business or the entity. And there's detainment. I've heard something about detainment and seizure. And then what else did I hear? I've heard something about taking photographs and printing them. And then there's entry and inspection.
Yeah.
I think I got those 4.
Yes, someone wanted to share something. Was it Jennifer or someone else?
Yeah, I can add to what Jocelyn has touched on. There's interviewing of employers and employees. There's the issuance of prohibition notices. I think just been talked about collection of samples and evidence.
Yeah.
And enforcement of compliance.
Yeah, thanks. Quite a number now.
Patricia, allow me to
Yes,
just
Mercy.
add a few more.
Yes, Mercy.
Yes, thank you. They also have the power to recommend legal action. This is where they are able to escalate serious violations for further legal enforcement. And they can also provide guidance and training. So they can educate employers and employees on the best health and safety practices.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay. I think, Mwalimu, are you back? Can I help us?
Back, but using a different device, so I cannot scroll.
Okay.
I don't have the device. Ile nilikuwa nayo kwa nyumba. Hebu nijaribu kama naweza. I can open. I had sent it on WhatsApp, right?
Yes.
Let me try and see if it is possible for me to share it.
I think meanwhile, Jen, you can read for us from the WhatsApp, question 5.
Yes, I can read. Question 5 says,
I think, Mwalimu, you can mute.
Okay. XY.
Patricia, before we proceed, Jen, sorry. I think I confused you. There's a way we quote the Constitution and how we quote the acts. So when we are talking about the Constitution, we'll talk about Article 12, Article what?
Yeah.
And when we are talking about the acts, we talk of Section 29, Section 30,
Okay.
At some point, I think I misled you guys on that. It should be
On the
section 32 of the Act
section.
and not
Oh,
article.
thank you for that correction. So it's section 32, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Jane, you can proceed. Thank you.
Okay, question 5A. XYZ Company Limited is in the process of conducting job analysis exercise. Explain the methods that may be used to collect required data. That is 10 marks.
Yes, so job analysis. What is job analysis? And then the question is asking us to outline the methods. Jane?
The question is asking, explain the methods that may be used to collect required data during job analysis exercise. That is.
Thank you. So what is job analysis, someone? Someone to just explain the job analysis before we go to the question, which is asking us to highlight. I need to go to that question, or Jen will share it again. So yes, yes, please.
Okay. XYZ Company Limited is in the process of conducting job analysis exercise. Explain the method that may be used to collect the required data.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's now clear. Someone to explain to us what job analysis is, and then we go to methods used to collect the required data.
So job analysis is the process of systematically or collecting information about a job's roles, responsibilities, skills, duties, qualifications in an organization. That is what I think job analysis is.
Okay.
And I think one of the ways of...
Yeah.
Sorry?
I wanted
One of the
just to
ways-
also expand on it before we go to the one of the ways of collecting the required information. I believe job analysis also entails job specification and job description. Someone to correct me if I'm wrong. You start with that by getting to know what the job description and also job is. So it's part of the process of job analysis. Because you will want to know what the job is. Yes?
Yes, Patricia, you are very right. They are the products of a job analysis.
Okay, thank you. So Jocelyn, you can go ahead. Thank you, Moses.
So I was saying one of the ways of carrying out a job analysis or collecting data is through an interview. An interview where you conduct an interview and ask questions regarding a particular job. Interview method.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other method?
We can have tests.
We can have?
Tests.
Tests. You can expound?
Can't expound much, but when you have a test, maybe you can give a test inquiring about a job so that they can answer and then you mark.
I think that one should be a questionnaire.
Yeah, maybe a questionnaire, because the question is asking for the methods that you use to collect the required data. So a questionnaire.
Yes, yes, yes.
Patricia, if I may ask,
Yes.
are we talking about method or techniques? Because, like you said, we did something of this nature in I don't know, human resource management introduction, and we talked of data collection techniques, not methods. So, are we like discussing about techniques or methods?
Moses, it's the same. I was in that class for human resource management, and actually it was methods and techniques of data collection. So it's the same thing, according to what we learned from that class.
Okay, thank you.
Any other method? So we have the questionnaire, we have the interview.
Can you say conducting surveys?
Survey? We can say field survey, or is usually just survey? Survey?
Personal observation.
Yeah, personal observation.
HR records.
Yes.
And as well talk of critical incident technique.
Someone saying benchmarking on chat. That's also, I believe, a way. Incident, that was from who? Jennifer or who?
Yeah.
Incident what?
Critical incident technique.
How is it? How does it work?
You identify specific work-related incidents that will illustrate effective or ineffective job performance, which will help in defining key competencies.
I see. Yeah, get it. Yeah. Any other?
Actual job performance.
That's now the practical aspect of it. Any other? I think we are done with that. We can move to the next question, unless someone has a question or a point that we need to take note of.
I have a question. So
yes,
I don't know if someone can help me answer it, but in that class we wrote logbooks as a technique of data collection. Hey, now the problem is I didn't write how logbooks is a technique. Does someone know?
for those who are in that class, unfortunately I'm not. Moses, I think your classmate is. Did you get to know how logbook is a method of collecting such data? Or any other person, not necessarily.
Logbooks are just books like, anyway, it's a book whereby you record information. Now you use those logbooks to retrieve data. It's like for an attachee, like when you are on an attachment, you have a logbook whereby you record all the activities. Now that one can be used now to retrieve data or collect information.
Okay, thank you, Moses.
So we can move to the next question. Triza, please read it for us. Triza Uma. It's now on the screen. Thank you, Mwalimu.
Okay, so we are
at 5B.
Okay, explain the basis of a fair dismissal.
The basis of a fair dismissal. When is it considered a fair dismissal?
Patricia, can I try?
Yes, please.
When both parties are heard or given a hearing.
Mm-hmm. First of all, I hope we've actually understood it. That's what it's the question is looking for. The examiner is looking for basis, like what is basis, what are the bases of fair dismissal?
I think grounds.
The grounds for fair or dismissal. So what are the grounds, if we can rephrase it that way? Already we have one from Anita where there's a mutual, which I am still not sure if it is the ground or is an example or it's an explanation on when it can be considered that is a fair dismissal. Dismissal.
A trial.
Yes, please.
When there is a notice, a prior notice before the dismissal.
Would that be the same as a sufficient warning?
And yes, I like the answers, but I'm not personally sure if we are answering it well. You remember the question that we were answering with an example of termination, on when termination can happen. Could it be an example of this, maybe where we need to give out those specific one and then give an example?
What I would say, Patricia, is that when it comes to a fair dismissal, we should be able to prove that the termination was not discriminatory or in violation of employment laws. So my example of that would be if, let's say, an employee has misconduct, serious violations of the company rules and policies, like maybe theft, fraud, insubordination, harassment, violence.
Yes, I'm actually thinking of it in the same line. So, and I've seen Beatrice has also said that basis means why it can be considered a fair dismissal, right? Beatrice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
So
think
maybe
also, just to add a second one, maybe we can say incapacity if the employee is not able to perform their job or duties because of maybe a medical condition, illness, or maybe an injury that came up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we all in agreement that that is what the question is asking us? So we look at it in that bit of like incapacity. And there's a one that you said, Maureen. The second one was?
It was misconduct, and the second one was incapacity.
Yes. Misconduct, incapacity. Then now from that, from the examples, you can now explain that whenever so if it's misconduct, it's also supposed to be consented, because it's still, you cannot just dismiss dismiss an employee without them knowing what the misconduct is.
Yes.
So from the previous examples, I think we need to have these ones and then support with our examples. For example, the person who was talking of, I think I got quite examples that are now relating to misconduct, right? Yeah. Any other? Somebody with something to add on this?
I don't know, Patricia, have we mentioned anything to do with the proper due process?
No, you can just explain it further, then we see.
I think you can only term a dismissal fair when proper due process has been followed based on the organization's policy as well as the Employment Act.
Yeah. So my question is, should we put it under point for misconduct and then now support it with that explanation where due process and also as per the Employment Act. Are we really answering it well in terms of giving an explanation or a point to where the basis of dismissal can happen and why it's a fair dismissal, or why we will consider it as a fair dismissal?
Patricia, I have looked it up and I'm seeing there are two types, there are two ways in which you can answer it. The first method is where you give reasons of substantive fairness, and the other one is procedural fairness. So the one that Maureen was talking about is substantive fairness. Things like misconduct, poor performance, physical incapacity, operational requirements. Those are substantive. But the procedural ones, now the ones that are now confusing us, are the ones that we said giving notification, giving fair hearing, consideration.
Okay. Thanks for checking that. So Mwalimu, here we may need your help or guide. Someone has sent something on chat. Let me check.
So when do we consider it fair? Either way, it's a dismissal, but when do we call it fair? Or when do we term it fair?
Yes,
I think
when it can be justified.
What I think, looking at them, if we are talking about a fair dismissal, then we are talking about the procedural fairness. But when we talk about the substantive fairness, where we talk about misconduct, I don't think misconduct in any way is going to be fair or poor performance. Not unless you're talking about justifying why you dismissed an employee based on their misconduct. That is how now you say that I was fair enough because I investigated their misconduct and I found that they were not conducting themselves in a fair way.
Okay. So in this question, if I'm to maybe use your explanation, Jocelyn, are we supposed to use the procedural ones or the substantive one? So Mwalimu, if you are here, you can help us. And I can see also Beatrice is saying the basis is why. For example, the breach of laws. Somebody is talking about redundancy. There's a comment from Dorcas saying, I feel this kind of revision discussion is very useful, informative. Can you please create time for other units to revise like 2 papers? My ample request. You can put that on chat, then people will just definitely vote and then we see. And Mwalimu can also guide on it, I think. So Mwalimu, can you help us? Is this question asking us for the procedural ones or the substantive ones? If you are here with us, just a guide so that we take note of it for future of such questions.
Patricia, I'm looking at in the question, the focus is on the basis of a fair dismissal. In the discussion, I think we spoke to unfair termination. So the examiner has changed. He knows maybe if he goes the circumstances that would lead to unfair termination, you'd easily download what we gave in class. So the examiner is asking you, when is the termination fair? So those reasons for unfair termination, you can use them to answer this question and more. So for unfair termination, what are our reasons? When is a termination unfair? You recall that discussion?
Mwalimu, allow me to try.
Yes, Marcy?
I think a termination is unfair when the employee is not given a chance for proper hearing.
when the employee is not given a chance of proper hearing, unfair termination. We spoke of things like lack of good faith, or when there are unfair labor practices or the employee is being discriminated or victimized, where the reasons that were being used would be considered to be unduly harsh. Remember, I gave the example of somebody working in a hospital, cooking and then serving patients, and then the remnants they were carrying to go and feed their children. You recall such an example I gave in class. So
Yes.
we deemed it unduly harsh to terminate an employee under such circumstances. So for us to talk about termination that is fair, you can juxtapose the same reasons and use them to answer, because now you are speaking to fair termination. Juxtapose the same reason. There is a fair labor practice. There is no discrimination or lack of good faith. There is no violation of the principle of natural justice, including the right to be heard, the right to appeal, the right to defend themselves. Those are principles of natural justice. What are the reasons that were being used as the basis for termination? Are they fair and justifiable reasons? The grounds for termination. Did you follow due process? Then we can say the termination is fair. So explain the basis of a fair dismissal. You follow due process. Did you accord the employee the rights so that you do not violate their rights? The reasons, are they factual or baseless? Fair termination. Patricia?
Okay, thank you. Can move to question 6.
Or is there somebody who
Yeah.
has maybe another question or clarification on the same? Okay, Patricia, go on.
Okay, we can do question 6. Evaluate the factors that may influence the demand for labor. Yeah, we did this. It's a repeater. Okay. Evaluate the factors that may influence demand for labor in Kenya labor market. So this is Kenya market. Mwalimu, you are now projecting your other, or it's in relation to the question? You are projecting for us your account, your other account, your X account.
Mwalimu, on your account.
Okay.
Which one is it?
It's back now. It's okay.
No, this is not the one I wanted. There's another one that I was showing the question in full.
Yes, you are back to it now. It's now okay.
Is it the one?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it's not.
It's not. I'm
No,
seeing the
it's not.
message.
It is. It is.
We are in
Scroll up.
4. No, this is not the one.
This is showing until question 4.
These are the other. You just scroll up to question 5. 6.
No, I opened one in a link. I opened another one, sijui Zoom, sijui hata sasa ni gani. Nijaribu.
Because it is the last question, Mwalimu, I think it's fine. We can just, Jen can still read for us and we'll be able to understand. So it's fine.
The last question. Evaluate the factors that may influence demand for labor in the Kenyan labor market.
Thank you, Jen. I believe we answered it, but now this is specific to Kenya. In the previous paper, we had the same similar question, if I'm not wrong. But now we are going to narrow it down to Kenya market. So if your first point, unmute and just share.
I think the level of education required for the job.
Can explain? Are you able to explain further how the level of education is?
Yes, maybe if the job requires someone who has a very high level of education, then it might not, which is not available in the labor market, then it might not attract the enough candidates, or we might not get enough applications.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Let me know if that makes sense.
For me, it does, unless someone has a contrary thought on it, but I believe it does. So any other, or someone to just confirm what Mercy has shared. Mwalimu, now it's the correct one. Thank you. We can now see the question, the right question on screen.
So, thank you.
Anybody with another point?
Maybe just another point, demographics in maybe in terms of sex or age specification in the job, and maybe there's no qualified, like the qualified candidates do not meet the specifications in terms of demographics.
Mm-hmm. I think I remember we gave that as an example on the other one now, and I believe it applies to Kenyan labor market as well. Thank you, Martha.
Factors that influence demand for labor. How many people you need to employ as organizations operating in Kenya. We looked at that in the other paper. So not supply, demand. How many people you need, how many people we need is based on what?
I hear you. Thank you, Mwalimu.
Okay, Patricia, I think we can add changes in the number of farms.
Explain.
You look at that as a level of investments. The more the investment, more farms are opened up and expanded. You need to have more people to operate in those farms. I think that is his point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Malim.
So we
Business growth plans.
Mm-hmm.
Patricia, I'm not sure how to summarize this, but I think some factors like remote working or hybrid working, working environment might determine the demand for labor. For example, if we are all working remotely, we might not require some positions like security. In terms of the security guards, we might not require cleaners. So that also, I think, influences labor, demand for labor, but I don't know how to summarize it. Maybe someone can help.
Is someone to help Mercy with the point, or help us understand Mercy's point? So from the previous question, we had indicated things like legislation, which is the government policy or laws, and the market expansion. I don't know if it's the same as the level of investment from Moses' point, and then the wage rates, and then there was the aspect of demographics, yeah, and then the technological growth, which I believe, if we are to go by that, still applies to Kenyan labor market.
Let us not belabor the points. Zingine watajisomea wenyewe. Move on to the next one. Patricia?
Okay. Somebody to read for us, B. Mercy.
Okay. Examine the challenges the human resource managers may contend with due to workplace diversity.
Yes.
And maybe if I can just go with one of them, maybe training costs. I think they might need to invest in diversity training programs to promote inclusivity and cultural awareness.
Yes, Mercy, that's a challenge because the question is asking for the challenges that a human resource manager may contend with due to workplace diversity. So the challenge.
Yeah, I think this is a general challenge to the organization.
Just come up again.
Okay. No, I'm saying the organization might incur an training course, but I'm not sure the human resource, it's directed to the human resource manager. I think it's a general challenge to the organization for the course. But maybe for the human resource manager, it might be conflict management or something in terms of trying to manage people from different cultures and the different work styles and values and yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I agree with that, the managing people's conflict and conflict management because the workplace is now diversified and people with different opinions, different personalities. So it will result to that. So that will be a challenge. Any other?
Patricia can talk of the legal and compliance issues. We look at Labor Relations Act. We look at Employment Act that talks about discrimination at the workplace. Therefore, organization must ensure that they comply with the labor laws and their anti-discrimination policies, which may pose legal challenges if not properly addressed.
Thank you. Any other? Just unmute and proceed if you have any point to add on this.
I have one. Patricia?
Proceed. Yes, Alice, proceed.
Welfare issues, how welfare issues are handled at the organization. Employees' needs are varied and diverse, and the way they are handled are different from one community to the other. So at the end of it, it might bring a lot of conflicts within organization. And so the challenge is to the HR person is how to handle these cases in case they arise. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Can read from the chat. I can see one. Compromise on the quality of candidates at the expense of diversity. Okay, that's a challenge. Any other? I think we can check on more points on it. And then we move to, are we going to Mwalimu? Can we end it at this point or we go to question 1? I think we did not do one of the case study question on the paper. I think you can guide us from here.
I thought we finished the case. I thought we finished the case study questions.
Yes, we handled.
All of them, because there were 2 papers.
No,
Oh,
just one.
the first paper we did not look at the case study, but this one I decided maybe let's just expose ourselves to all of it. Would you like us to look at the case study for the other one?
We have another lesson for business law 2.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that's it. Mwalimu, you can take over. Thank you guys for your participation, and I hope it has been very valuable and resourceful for your revision also as we plan for the exam ahead. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Patricia, for being a good facilitator.
Karibu.
Thank you so much, Patricia, for a job well. Soon you can take over from me.
It can get quite overwhelming. I understand. I now really appreciate whenever you guys are on the other side. Thank you.
So the essence of such a revision session is just to expose us to real exam setting and what is expected. And I deliberately, as much as I had other assignments on the side, but I am deliberately out of it just so that there's full participation from the members. So I'm hoping in a small way we've been able to appreciate the elements that would be covered in an exam, and you have an idea on the do's and don'ts as you get into the exam revision proper. So all the best, even as you prepare for your exams. I hope in a small way we impacted positively and you become better practitioners as you. My interest is not just you do and pass. My interest is, are you able to do, pass, and be impactful at the workplace? That is of more importance to me than just you are doing and passing exams. So going forward, let us see how we work around everything and be ready for the exam. So thank you for your time. I didn't expect that guys will be with us up to almost 2. But we appreciate in a small way, I hope it has been useful in terms of helping you just be on the same page with examiners with regards to exams. Have a good afternoon and God bless.
Thank you, Mwalimu. Thank you for the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Mwalimu.
Bye.